Empoleon has been a pretty good Pokemon in competitive singles throughout the generations. It was ranked OU in its debut generation in Gen 4, and has been a great Pokemon in the UU tier in the generations after. Empoleon's stats and typing has allowed it to be as successful as both a specially offensive water type and as an amazing specially defensive wall, as it does have a solid special attack stat and great special bulk. Empoleon's typing is also incredible defensively. Water Steel grants Empoleon 10 resistances and 1 immunity too. While it is weak to common typings like Fighting, Ground and Electric, the plethora of resistances make up for it. Not to mention that Empoleon could make use of excellent utility moves like Scald, Stealth Rock, Defog, Knockoff and Toxic, and it has a great offensive move pool with Hydro Pump, Flash Cannon, Grass Knot and Ice Beam. While Empoleon has been nerfed with its reintroduction in Pokémon Scarlet Violet, as it has lost utility moves like Scald, Defog and Toxic, Empoleon has actually gained some massive buffs too, which are arguably a worthwhile trade-off for its lost options. So what makes Empoleon so potent in Gen 9 compared to the other generations? With Empoleon's reintroduction in Gen 9, it gained some very significant buffs to its move pool and even an ability buff. Let's talk about the moves first. The most notable move Empoleon has gained is Roost. Roost is a great option that provides Empoleon with reliable recovery. This allows Empoleon to remain healthy throughout the match and take great advantage of its incredible defensive typing and special bulk. Before Gen 9, Empoleon's most reliable form of healing was limited to leftovers, which made it easy to wear down over time, especially if it was knocked off. But now with Roost, it will be way more difficult to remove Empoleon. Not to mention that this Pokemon cannot be crippled by Toxic, which is a big deal. Not only did Empoleon gain Roost, but it also gained the amazing pivoting move Flip Turn. Flip Turn alongside other momentum based moves are very potent in competitive singles, as it allows you to respond to whatever your opponent does and safely bring in a teammate to take advantage of that. Flip Turn also has no immunities, making this move not that easy to switch into. The only exception are abilities like Water Absorb and Dry Skin. Fortunately for Empoleon, there are not a lot of those present in the metagame. The most notable Water Absorb users are Clodsire and the newly introduced Ogerpon Wellspring. Clodsire is a safe switch in as it can absorb water attacks and take special hits very well with its great special bulk, and threaten Empoleon back with a super effective Earthquake. Ogerpon Wellspring is quite good in the metagame right now, especially with the recent ban of Ogerpon Heartflame. Ogerpon Wellspring can very easily take advantage of Empoleon as it is immune to the water attacks, it takes very little from its coverage options, and it can threaten it back with a physical grass move. That being said, Flip Turn is still a very solid addition that feels like a staple on defensive Empoleon sets in Gen 9. If that wasn't enough, Empoleon now also has access to Haze. Haze is a great way to stop setup sweepers from getting out of hand by removing their stat changes. This is not even mentioning all the great utility moves Empoleon still has, like Knockoff, Stealth Rock, and War. These buffs make Empoleon a very consistent special wall that offers great utility for a team. Empoleon also gained Wave Crash as a new physical water move, but it's hard to make use of that with Empoleon's low base attack stat. Aside from move pool buffs, Empoleon got an ability buff. Empoleon's ability Defiant got changed to the ability Competitive. Defiant and Competitive are very similar but have one key difference. Defiant boosts the Pokemon's attack by 2 stages if one of its stats is lowered. Competitive has the same effect but boosts the special attack instead of attack. This is great as Empoleon's special attack is much higher than its physical attack, and it could not really make use of that. While this is a straight up buff, it can be quite difficult to actually take advantage of this ability. The most reliable ways to trigger Competitive is by either switching Empoleon in on Defog or having an Intimidate user switching in. Defog is quite scarce in the metagame right now, with Corviknight and Mandibuzz being the best users of it. That being said, Empoleon can threaten these Pokemon with a 2-hit KO after the competitive boost, even if it is uninvested. The best users of Intimidate are Landorus T in the OU tier and Salamence in the UU tier, which are both Pokemon that don't like switching into Empoleon. So taking advantage of Intimidate users will be very difficult. Of course, competitive can also be triggered by stat drops for moves with a secondary effect to do so, like Moonblast or Shadow Ball. Moonblast in particular has a 30% chance to lower the special attack stat of the target. Empoleon's steel typing and high special defense also makes it a great switch in against this move, so it might be able to take advantage of this. Do keep in mind that if you trigger on competitive this way, you will only gain +1 special attack and not +2, as Moonblast already drops it by 1 stage. I will say though that the most common users of Moonblast have coverage for steel types, so it can be risky switching into this Pokemon. With all these buffs, Empoleon might just be better than it has ever been in previous generations, despite the nerfs it did receive, like losing Scald. Empoleon could legitimately fight a niche in the OU tier as especially defensive utility Pokemon with Roost and Flip Turn added to its arsenal, as there are multiple reasons to use it over the other bulky water types in the metagame. Empoleon can act as a solid check to numerous special attackers. Manaphy is a very dangerous Pokemon right now in the metagame, but Empoleon can easily take any coverage move Manaphy can throw at it and remove the stat boost from Tail Glow with Haze. Not to mention it can safely use Flip Turn on it to bring in a teammate to take advantage of Manaphy. Golden Goal is another Pokemon that Empoleon can check quite well, as it can easily make it rain and Shadow Ball and threaten it with knockoff as well as use Flip Turn. Golden Goal does sometimes use Focus Blast and even Thunderbolt in rare cases, which Empoleon has to be wary of, but even then Empoleon can take that hit quite well. However, Empoleon does face some problems in the OU tier. Some of the most common Pokemon in the tier are ground and fighting types, which can easily threaten Empoleon out. If Empoleon does not find a spot in the OU tier, I'm certain that it will find a solid niche in the UU tier, just like it used to. One thing I haven't talked about is Empoleon's use of terrestrialization. This is because I think not terrestrializing Empoleon would be better in the majority of battles. Empoleon's defensive typing is what makes it so good, and it's not worth getting rid of that for something worse. I also don't think that offensive Empoleon will be that great in the metagame, as its special attack has been power crept quite a bit and it's also very slow, but it can be a fun set, especially to surprise the opponent. Do you think that these buffs are enough for Empoleon to find itself a spot in the Gen and OU tier, or will it drop to the UU tier again? Let me know your thoughts about buffed Empoleon down below in the comments. If you want to see more content like this, you can let me know by liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you are new. Also make sure to check out my video on buffed Doterra on the screen if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and see you next time.